servers at restaurants, what's the strangest thing someone's asked for? Honestly, I'd say the weirdest thing was that, while I was a server at a restaurant in the Royal Hawaiian, a guest asked me to book a shark adventure tour. It had nothing to do with my job or even the hotel. Those tours were entirely separate businesses. I took his black card, went to guest services, picked up a pamphlet, and booked the tour. He tipped me $250. Totally worth it. I used to work at a Japanese restaurant, and once, I had someone come up to me and ask me if we had any low-sodium soy sauce. The request itself was not so strange, and I gave him the bottle we kept behind the counter. The strange thing was what he used the soy sauce for, which was pouring some of it into his Pepsi. A middle-aged lady insisted she didn't like soda water or sparkling water, so instead asked for a white wine spritzer without the white wine. There are 2 ingredients to a white wine spritzer: white wine and soda water. I had this couple come in with their own tea set. The man asked me if I had a few minutes to learn a few things. They were the second tables sat, so I humored him. He showed me a very specific way of steeping and pouring the tea over a sugar cube and had me try it a couple times with water. The whole thing was sort of neat. He then asked if I would mind serving them their tea this very particular way. They were super kind, even though the man had sort of an intense vibe to him. I filled the pot with hot water, carried it out like he showed me, and poured their cups of tea exactly how he showed me. He seemed extra pleased, but never said a word or even looked at me. It was no problem, and I felt super fancy doing it. I did refill their tea one time while they were there, and he also asked that I keep his wife's water glass full at all times. I knew it was going to be a good table when the first time I came by and refilled her water glass and inquired if they needed any more tea. The man handed me $20 and sort of dismissed me. He did it twice more that afternoon. At the end they paid with no tip, but $60 and a cool lesson was enough for me. My manager found me about an hour later and handed me an envelope, and said they told him they only will come in when I am working from now on. The envelope had $100, a business card, and a handwritten thank you note. Apparently, they had put this request up for many fine dining places, and I was the only to get it right and do it graciously. It was very odd, because after the first lesson they treated me as if I was almost invisible, backed up by the fact they didn't tip me in person. On every return trip it was the same. If you didn't know the deal, they would seem like cold bastards, but they tipped really well, and I treated them like VIPs every time. A lady ordered pizza with chicken for the table. Rest of the table argued with her that they're vegetarians. She can have chicken on her own pizza. She replied that chicken is vegetarian, and refused to understand that her friends were trying to get a vegetarian meal. I had a couple that told me to wait before I clean up their tables so the man could lick every plate clean first. They had multiple appetizers and entrees between them, and he licked every single one clean before I was allowed to take it. They weren't in a private booth or anything. The other guests could see this happening. Years ago, I worked at this amazing Breton French creperie in San Francisco. Phenomenal food, with a pretty small menu. Guy comes in and orders a sweet crepe with vanilla ice cream. No problem, but then he wants to add a side-up egg and parsley to this crepe. I asked him several times if he's sure he knows what he's getting, and that it's not 2 separate crepes. He still goes on with his order. Of course, when I ring it in, the kitchen thinks I made a mistake, to which I assure them, I have not. I bring out the said vanilla ice cream with side-up egg crepe and the client devours it. It was very weird. The place I worked at had little water cups on the table, and we kept them filled for customers. I sat a group of 2 women, who said they were waiting for a third person, and went to fill their water cups. When I asked if I should fill the third one or wait for the third person to arrive, one woman said, "Oh, no need, he's trying to quit." I thought it was a joke, and when the third person got there, I went to fill his water. He said, "No, don't fill it, I'm trying to quit water." Years ago, while leaving a restaurant, I saw a guy sitting at the counter seats pouring ketchup into his Sprite, straight out of the glass Heinz bottle. He glanced around to see if anyone was looking and then started pouring it in. I work somewhere that sells Macallan 25, it's a 25-year aged scotch that is $350 for a 2-ounce pour. We don't sell it often, just for the occasional high roller. Someone asked for 2 shots of it mixed with Diet Coke one night. The bartender died inside pouring it for them, but a $700 tab is a $700 tab. We aren't in the business of telling you not to spend money. In college I worked at a burrito shop on campus. One night this guy who was stoned out of his mind ordered a burrito with everything on it: salsa, sour cream, extra beans, meat, rice, everything. I could barely wrap the burrito. He walks over and sits at a table and takes one bite, and all the burrito contents shot out the bottom. He just went, "Oh no," and then just started eating it out of his lap and off the table. It was entertaining to watch. A lady ordered a charcuterie board, and when it arrived, with disgust, she asked me to take it away because it had meat on it. I carefully explained that the ingredients were listed in the menu, and that the meat was somewhat implied by the name of the dish. She remained unfazed, and I returned the board to the kitchen. That was fun. I can't really say I recall anything especially weird being asked for, but what always amazed me was how people just assumed that a restaurant could just whip something up for them. Especially when it comes to dessert. I had a coworker have a customer who went through the dessert menu, shut it, and asked for a slice of apple pie. Mind you, there was no apple pie in the menu, and most dessert items at a restaurant are not made to order. People would also always put reservation notes asking us to bring a cupcake for a birthday. Again, not something we had on the menu, nor something we are going to make special, even if we didn't have 210 covers coming in that night. Of course, people were more than welcome to bring in a cake or a dessert, but no one wants to pay the plating fee. I worked kitchen at KFC, but from time to time, we would all throw on the headsets for drive-thru just to listen in. One night, we get a guy put in a typical order, but then he starts. "Can I get extra hot sauce? I like it hot and spicy. Do you like it hot and spicy? I really like it hot, and I got to have it spicy," and continues on for some more time. He pulled up to the window with his wife in the passenger seat and his kids in the back who looked mortified. I used to work at a chain restaurant in college. A woman comes in and asks for a glass of the mango stuff. I clarify whether she wants a mango tea or mango lemonade, and she says, "No, just the mango stuff." For reference, the mango stuff is syrup, literally sugar syrup with fake mango flavor and food coloring. I explain that the mango stuff is not juice, it is syrup. She insists she wants just the mango stuff. I bring her a glass of straight-up mango syrup. She drinks the whole thing and takes one to go. Not to mention, we had to charge her like $12 a glass, because she drank a bottle and a half of mango syrup that would have made like 50 mango lemonade. She was cool with that. I was at a salad bar and a lady put lettuce on her plate and then covered it in ice. She ate it with a fork, attempting to stab the ice like croutons. No one else seemed to notice. She was chatting with the staff like any regular would. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. A woman sent a steak back 9 times, not be replaced, but eat a bit, have it cooked more, eat a bit, and have it cooked more once again, and so on. The thing was black, but she still wanted the juice cooked out. Anytime even a drop of juice came out of it, she sent it back. She would eat a little, and if she found a tiny drop of liquid, she would send it back. I mean, this thing was very well done, but she was still complaining. Why even have a steak if you hate the meat juice in it? It became a dry, burnt steak. I mean, by the last time she sent it back, the part left was maybe the size of a chicken finger. I worked at an all-you-can-eat sushi place, and you were allowed 1 bowl of ice cream. Anything more, and it would just be an all-you-can-eat ice cream place. Woman asked for chocolate ice cream with a heaping side of wasabi. She ate it all mixed together. She admitted to it being super weird, but said it tasted great. It still is the weirdest order I've taken to date. I once got a table that wanted the steak without the steak. I just stood there and looked at them waiting. They explained they didn't eat beef, so they wanted everything that came in the plate, like the sides, but with no steak, they wanted chicken instead. The way the chef looked at me when I told him steak with no steak was priceless. Once had a dude, who ordered a large garden salad, look me dead ass in the eyes, and very seriously say, "No purple in it." I just agreed with no follow-up questions. I ended up picking out anything purple-colored in the salad, and very nervously watched him pick through it. He was satisfied enough and left a decent tip. I can never unsee purple things in my salad now, but I eat them. Former Subway sandwich artist here. A guy wanted a foot-long turkey sandwich and for me to put tomatoes on it, but to cut each tomato slice into quarters, and for the round edges to face the hinge of the bread, and the right angle points to face the outside of the bread. The white American triangle cheese pieces needed to be split in half, and those smaller triangles needed to be put between certain slices of turkey, to supposedly fill in the triangle gaps of the quarter tomatoes of the sandwich when it closed. I apparently didn't figure it out perfectly by his standards, because he started screaming at me and knocked over some stuff. I honestly couldn't care less about whatever issue he had. That guy. I remember being surprised in that moment that I'm actually involved in an interaction this ridiculous. Once, a very thin, middle-aged woman came in. She couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds. She asked what our biggest steak was. I told her it was the 24-ounce ribeye. She said that she'll have that. Our steaks came with 2 sides, so I asked which one she'd like. She said she doesn't want sides. I told her they were included in the price, but she still refused them. I bring out her steak, and she begins eating. She's about a third of the way through, when I ask, "How is everything?" She says, "Great, bring me another steak." I say, "Is there anything wrong with that one?" She answers, "No, it's great, I want a second one." I go back to the chef and tell him, and he couldn't believe it, but we served her another steak. She ate all 48 ounces of steak and left me a $40 tip.